Okay, that should be on.
Can you hear me now? Is that working?
I think so.
Can y'all hear me? If you can hear, just say something.
I'm just making sure we're still streaming because I don't know if we're still streaming.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm seeing it. Yes, everything's working good.
Okay.
Yay.
All right, sorry about that, guys.
Okay. So normally Trisha's the one that's reading the questions, and on this episode, Anne will be the one reading the questions. Trisha's been sick all week, and she's got a little bit of I'd call it laryngitis a little bit. Yeah. And so she might mention a couple things, but anyway, so yeah, a little different format. And we've also moved the room around, and I have a groovy grease board to. I may or may not need it. I don't know, but we'll see. But instead of using words, I can draw some colorful pictures using black or blue.
So you want to go ahead and give them an overview of how it works and tell them to start putting the questions in.
Can y'all hear her?
And then we'll do the announcement with the cards.
Okay, so yes, you can see. Normally, this is where we're messed up already because normally Trisha does the intro and everything. But so if you have questions, put them in the comments. Right? Put them in the comments.
Yes, and there's only a certain number of characters you can do. So if you need more characters, just keep on typing.
Okay.
And just do multiple messages. We'll get it all.
So yeah, if you have a long message and you run out of character space, just start another one, and we'll get it all at this end.
We don't need a book, but we do need the info.
Yeah, we don't need a book, but we do need the info.
And manufacturer and model number.
Yep. I can help you. Well, I don't have my manuals in front of me, but a lot of times if you say your furnace isn't working or your refrigerator, I know that for me it might the path that I take to troubleshoot these things might be different if it's a Dometic or a Norcold on the air conditioners, if it's a Coleman or a Dometic, Suburbans or Atwood water heaters, things like that. So the more information you provide would be helpful.
Yeah, and you can also tell people to put where they're tuning in from.
Oh yeah, let us know where you're at. This is always fun. We're in Sequim, Washington right now, and it is a beautiful 76 degree Chamber of Commerce weather. It's stunning. I got the doors off the Jeep. I wanted to take the top off, but I'm not quite willing to do that just yet. Old rag top Jeep is always fun to tool around. But so yeah, let us know where you're calling in from or viewing from. It's always fun to know how far our reach is, whether you're the neighbor or the neighboring state or the neighboring country. So, yay! I'm looking for the cues.
Oh well, do you want to
mention these?
Yeah, go ahead and we'll do another plug midway. In case
Okay.
Join, yeah.
So what is this? What does Darren have? What is this? What is this? What is this? Okay, so those of you who have been watching for a while, we've started another sister company called T3 Interface, but actually this isn't a T3 Interface product. This is a My RV Works product that My RV Works manufactured. So here I am, an RV tech in my everyday RV tech world, and I'm going to be working on your, your thermostat for your air conditioner, your furnace. And let's just say it's a Dometic or something like that. Well, that's not exactly what these work on. But anyway, I'm going to walk you through a scenario, and I'll tell you what I have here with me. Well, sometimes you might have a Dometic single zone thermostat, an SE1, and it's going to give you like an E4 or E3. And I got to take a second. I don't keep all that in my head. And I got to take a moment to kind of look up what those are. And so I created a concept called RV Tech Cards. It says it right there, RV Tech Cards. Can you see the RV Tech Cards one? If I hold it still, RV Tech Cards right there.
I'm sure they can.
Okay.
That's great.
This one involves an AquaHot. Okay, so we make a tool called the AquaHot Remote Test Switch, I believe is what we call that thing. And when I work on an AquaHot, I go through a testing procedure. Seven steps that I go through on an AquaHot to help me understand what it's trying to communicate to me as to why it's not working. And so I always had this big laminated 8.5 by 11 sheet that basically was spelled out. But so what I did was I took little cards here and I grommeted them, and so here I have the little procedures that I go through, what wires to jumper what with, front and back, and so I call these RV Tech cards. what do we got here?
I'm just gonna show them, and then it's got the little keychain for key.
Oh. Is there a glare?
There you go. No, that's perfect.
Okay, so that's off of our, can you, there we go. Anyway, so RV Tech cards, this is our first one that we've got coming out, but boy, we've got dozens and dozens and dozens of more of these things we're going to be making over the next many months. And the idea is we put it on a hole through it, so you can clip these things on your tool bag. And if I had my tool bag with me, you would see that I've got these and a couple others that I'm playing around with hanging on my tool bag. And if I'm wanting to know the resistance value of a heating element, or what the alarm code is, or the procedure to test an aqua hot, anything that I go through on my day, I don't have to take the time to look it up on my phone. I just flip these things off and like, it means it's no electricity or it's lost this connection. So RV Tech cards, you can gain access to them from our website, myrvworks.com, and then where do they go then? Click on,
we're going to put a link in the description.
There will be a link.
They can go to myrvworks.com/store. They're there, or they can click on the link.
Okay, there'll be a link right there.
Yeah, I just posted it.
So yeah, that's what these are. We're really excited about them. I know for me, I love these things. It just saves me throughout the day not having to go look up something in a manual, even though I do enjoy my manuals. Sometimes I just need to know the piece of information so I can keep on moving. Fault codes, trouble codes, all kinds of thermistor values on a refrigerator, all that kind of stuff are things that I'm going to have. So right now all I have is these aqua hot ones right now. It took us some time to get the formatting down just right and the printing down just right. We're doing them in-house. And so yeah, now that we've got them up and running, then they'll start making a lot more for everybody, including myself. So.
All right, you want to type?
I'm going to wait and see
what
happens.
Hold on just a second.
Oh, wait, okay.
We had somebody say, would that work as an app? Maybe he's asking.
On the app, well, I do have a desire to turn these into an app. I am. This is something I wasn't going to be mentioning, but I am developing a MyReviewWorks app for your smartphones, and we've got a whole division that I've got excited to do that. So yes, these will be coming out on apps. But right now, I don't want to invest in.
Trying to keep it simple.
I'm trying to keep it simple. Yeah. So right now, their cards are going to clip on your tool bag. But these will become apps on your phone, so you can just go to the, it doesn't exist right now, I'm still working on it. Like I've said many times, I'm still a working man. I was in the field all day yesterday. And so as I get time, I play with these ideas. And but I do have a whole idea on apps, but and it's going to be having all kinds of stuff, not only these, but a lot of other things on the app as well, and up to and including many more ideas that get to know us, get to know MyReviewWorks, and you'll hear many more of my ideas. I no lack for ideas. So I'm waiting for a question.
Okay, do number one.
Okay, I'm going to give a shout out to
That's Ann.
Chris, because he said, hello, Ann.
Oh,
so,
very
hello,
good.
Chris. Thank you for joining us. Glad you hear us loud and clear. All right, hopefully you can hear me crystal clear.
Can you
so
hear?
I'll raise
Can
my
you hear
voice a little
Ann?
more. So we have a question. Don Davis, when wiring an inverter just to power the outlets, is it okay to have hot wire from the inverter connect to the hot wire from the outlets, breaker on the distribution panel, and have one end of the pigtail wire connect to the breaker and the other connect to the two hot wires from the inverter and breaker?
I didn't hear everything, but I think I heard enough.
You want to read it?
No, I think I've heard enough. So basically, I'm going to draw this one, okay? So here we're going to have our inverter. Okay, now the inverter is going to get its power from the battery, okay? Plus and minus. I don't care what kind of battery you have, but it's going to get 12 volts from the battery source. Well, I got 6 batteries. Well, I got, okay, it's going to get its power from the battery, okay? Plus and minus. So the inverter plus and minus is going to be getting its power from the battery. And then out of the inverter, you're going to have a receptacle. Yours is hardwired. Mine's plugged. It doesn't matter. It's going to give you 120 volts. So here comes 120 volts. 1 to 0. coming from a 12-volt battery, the inverter's job is to do that. I did a whole video, I don't know, a couple months ago on how inverters work. And then we recently did another video, just recently, using this grease board where I talked about different inverters. So I'm going to try to stay focused on your question. So here I have 120 volts coming from my inverter, if I understand the question correctly. Then over here you have your breaker panel with all your breakers. Okay, and let's just pick this guy. He's got 120 volts coming out on him. Okay, this is the breaker panel that you have in your RV where you're plugged into shore power and your big black breakers turn things on and off. If I understand that question correctly, I think you're asking, is it okay to take this wire and connect it to that to run your receptacle? I think that's what you're asking me. Absolutely not. Please don't do that. And the reason why is because watch what happens here. This power's on, but it's backfeeding this. Worse is this power's on and it's backfeeding this. Okay? So that would be incorrect. No, 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 do not do that. They do have automatic transfer switches. There is a way to do this. If you wanted to do this and you really were desperately wanting to have an inverter and your breaker panel do this, you could use a double pole, double throw relay with a 120 volt coil. Let me just draw that real quickly. Let me find my eraser. Where'd my eraser go? Who took my eraser? Oh, got it. So inverter giving us on 20, breaker panel giving us on 20, tying them all together, never, don't do that. What you would do instead is, here's my 120 coming from my breaker panel, here's my 120 coming from my inverter, and this is going to my load, whatever it is I'm running. I'm going to give myself a little bit of room here. So a double pole, double throw relay, okay? So we're going to wire our double pole, double throw relay conventionally backwards. So basically you're going to have, that's how I draw a relay, okay guys? Okay. Am I going into two?
Nope, you're good.
We're liking this?
We don't have any other questions.
Okay,
We
okay.
only have one other question, but that's
Okay.
it so far.
So what we would do then, you could do it with this. Okay, this is a double pole, double throw relay. So basically, this is the coil. When I give the coil 120 volts, these little levers change states to the other screw terminal. Okay, so what we're going to do, so I use a double pole because we're going to grab the black wire and the white wire separate. Okay, we don't want to common the neutral. Okay, so this throw, we're going to make, you got to decide, see, I'm trying to design this live for you guys, but anyway, so here's my black wire coming out and I'm going to land it on that screw terminal. And here's my white, I'm going to use blue for white. Here is my blue wire coming out, and I'm going to land the blue wire on that terminal. And then here's my blue wire going to my white wire going to the receptacle, and here's my black wire going to the receptacle. So my inverter is on, and I'm passing through my double pole, double throw relay in the normally closed state, and I'm passing through to my receptacle. Then all of a sudden we get shore power, okay? And shore power, I'm going to take my black wire from my shore power and I'm going to connect it. Oh, that's a blue. Hold on. I didn't want blue, I wanted black. Okay, black. We're going to come out of this guy. Okay, and we're also, now here's where I'm going to tap off of my black wire and I'm going to energize my coil, and this guy is going to go to ground. And then the white wire coming out of my panel would then come in to this guy. I hope this makes sense. So with my relay, 120 volt coil relay, when I'm energized from shore power, I energize my coil of my relay. Therefore, these little arms change states. Okay, so when this becomes a magnet, it's an electromagnet. When I energize my coil, my two throws change states, isolating the inverter from the shore power. Clear as mud? Okay. Now, on the relays, you might want to do a break before make relay. I'm getting really technical here. Remember, I was an engineer for 30 years and I lived in control wiring for that whole era. So you want a break before make relay if you really wanted to do this right. And what that means is you wouldn't want it to be instantaneous where they change states, because it's possible that just for that nanosecond, you would be energizing this and it's still energizing this. So you'd want to break before make relay. So I might say double pull, double throw, break before make relay. And anyway, that would be the way you would do that if you were going to home brew it. But there's companies that make these things right here. And then you want to get the rating of the relay. If you're going to do something like this, I'd want to see it at least 20 amp rating, if not more, or you'll melt the things. So anyway.
All right, you ready for the next
I hope that makes sense. Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna do
erase
the next
this.
question. Eddie, I'm a full-time RVer. Last year we hit 116 degrees and my refrigerator couldn't keep up and temperature rose to 40 degrees. Refrigerator worked fine once temperature dropped. Any advice? And just before you answer that, so Chris Rico, that is a huge fan of ours, want to give a shout out to Cool Fun RV. They have the best cooling units. We support them. Yeah, so if for some reason you're looking for a cooling unit, we would recommend them.
Absolutely.
So thank
They
you,
do
Chris,
a good
for
job.
supporting us.
We just did on a refrigerator. We just did a refrigerator cooling unit. Last week? Is Chris watching?
Yes.
Yeah, that was that big one with the big fin sticking out. Terrible to ship the thing. That's crazy. But yeah, everything fit perfectly. It was a perfect fit, and we always follow up with our customers the very next day, and they said it's working fantastic. So yeah, good job on that. So on your refrigerator, so you're telling me that it got to 116 ambient outside and your food compartment got to 40. Is that a correct statement, or is that the freezer?
They didn't say.
Okay, so I've got lots of tips and tricks for you guys, and some of the videos I'm going to be coming out with over the next several months are going to be involving refrigerators. I have a refrigerator that we took from a customer. The cooling unit failed in it. They didn't want to replace a cooling unit. They wanted to put a residential one in, so that I said, well, I'm more than happy to take this refrigerator. And so now I have a refrigerator that I can slice and dice and do some show and tell on. So I'm going to be using that refrigerator for a lot of videos coming out. But now, what was this gentleman's name?
Ed.
Ed. Okay.
Eddie. Sorry.
Eddie. My middle name's Edward, so you could wait. So if your refrigerator food compartment got to 40, that is still within the safe food range. Your food range for your fresh food compartment is 37 to 40 degrees. So that doesn't bother me, but we can make it better. When we were in Texas, we got a lot of customers for air conditioners and refrigerators. So there's some simple things you could do and some more exotic, advanced things you can do. Let me start with the really exotic, because this one's really exotic, and I'm the only person I know that's done this, but from me mentioning it, I've heard it's pretty popular. So here is your RV. I'm liking having a grease board, guys. Here's the wheels. I'm looking at it from the back side, and here's your awning, okay, and here's your door, and here's the sun on this side shining on the RV opposite the awning side, and here you have your refrigerator, poor refrigerator in here, and it's just cooking this whole side of the refrigerator. So what did Darren do? Anybody? Let's put an awning on that side of the RV. Okay, so if you're sitting in a baking sun environment and you can't rotate your RV around, what we want to do is cool this side of the RV. And so there's quite a few RVs out there rolling around the roads with an awning on the other side of it for the purpose of shielding that side of the RV from the sun. Now, that's exotic. Why do we want to cool the side of the RV? It all has to do with the chimney effect going up the back side of the refrigerator. So let's go there, okay? And even if I spend a few minutes on this, I think it's good because it's going to be something that we're going to be getting into in these refrigerator jobs. I did a video a couple years ago on how to diagnose your cooling unit, okay? And I drew a picture of the proper chimney on your refrigerator. Okay, so let's say your refrigerator, does he tell us if it's in a slide room? Or I'm going to take the most difficult job, and I'm going to say your refrigerator is in a slide room. Okay, it's really hard to keep those things cool in a refrigerator or a slide room. So here we have our RV wall. Here's our tire right here, and then we have a slide out right here. Okay, that's beautiful. Bob Ross would be so pleased. Little squirrel down here, little puffy cloud. So we know our refrigerator is going to sit right here. I'm going to purposely, okay, here is our refrigerator. Okay, and maybe it's on the floor or whatever. So let's say that that's the floor. Okay, and then they give us a vent opening right here. Okay, that's the fresh air going into the bottom of the refrigerator. Then at the top, see, this is where I really want to exaggerate how badly some of these things are actually manufactured. I have no beef with any of the RV manufacturers. They're doing amazing jobs with what their engineers tell them to work with. But sometimes the vent at the top of this is not at the best place. So for purposes of instruction, I think what I'd like to do is change the roof. Let me keep this the same, and let me make this refrigerator a little bit taller. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to put the vent down here. Okay, so there's the upper vent, and just to make this really tough, it's all about that condenser at the top of the refrigerator. So the condenser is this little Volkswagen fin looking thing at the very top of this. Okay, so if you look on the back side of your refrigerator, Ed, what you're going to see is, if it's in a slide room or not, they're going to have this condenser fin at the top. We have got to, we must, do not pass go, we've got to run air through that condenser fin. Absolutely important. Okay, so here we have our absorber vessel, here we have our absorber coils, the rectifier thing, the boiler, all this kind of stuff, and then the ammonia. The thing with these refrigerators, it's a story of ammonia. They're supporting characters of hydrogen, distilled water, sodium chromate. But those are just supporting characters. It's really all about the ammonia changing states. Every time that ammonia changes states from a liquid to a vapor, back to a liquid vapor, it's absorbing or shedding this heat. Okay, it's like a sponge. It's readily absorbed into water. It's phenomenal. It will not freeze when it gets really cold. The vaporization of ammonia is minus 22. So what we need to do, and the reason your refrigerator is not working correctly, and what I would want you to do, is it's all about running the air through the backside of your refrigerator and getting this ammonia vapor back to a liquid. And that's done up here in this condenser fin. Okay? So for purposes of instruction, so we understand the guts of the back of the refrigerator. You can watch my video on how heat makes cold. So here, I'm going to use blue. Here comes air, works on the principle of convection. It's hot back here, so cool air is attracted to hot air. So this air is brought in here, and then it's going to go through this heated area, and it's going to come up, and there's no baffles here, and air is just going to take a shortcut, not even going through those condenser fins, and you're not going to be very effective at getting that ammonia from a vapor back to a liquid. What we want up at the top is a pure ammonia liquid with no water in it, no vapor. We want a pure ammonia liquid because we're getting ready to take that ammonia liquid and vaporize it. And we vaporize it in a hydrogen environment because hydrogen, being the lightest of all elements, the one with the best thermal conductive properties, that ammonia is like a multiplying effect, and we're going to vaporize this ammonia into hydrogen. We're going to get minus 22, minus 30 degrees when we do that. To do that properly, we need to cool it. And so you notice how I have a big gap right here, and the air is being drawn in. It's the principle of convection, but it's just blowing right back out again. We need to make that better. And here's what I want you to do. Your homework assignment, anybody having a refrigerator, if you're an RV and you have a absorption type refrigerator, I want you to go outside and look for what I'm about to show you. So let's get rid of the air. Okay. And I'm going to keep my condenser fin way at the top. So if you open up this vent and you can take your eyeball and you can look it down here, that's your problem. That's it right there. So what we want to do is we want on the side walls of your refrigerator, zero clearance. Stuff it with the Pink Panther foam stuff, whatever you need to do to get zero clearance on the left and right side of that refrigerator. No air. We want to make a perfect chimney. On the back wall, we want less than a 1-inch gap between the back cooling unit of that refrigerator and the back wall. Well, if it's 5 inches, well, what I've done many times is I go to Home Depot, Lowe's, where I get that real thick white foam board that's got shiny on one side, and it's that big styrofoam stuff. And you take a tape measure, measure the space, and then rip it in half, and then you have 2 pieces. You can slide those one piece at a time into this little void to build up that back wall space. I've seen brand new RVs directly from the factory. They bought on a Friday, I get called on a Saturday, and there was like this much space between the back wall and that refrigerator, and their complaint was their refrigerator wasn't working. We built that up with this foam stuff I'm talking about, and that fixed their problem. Then you can go to Harbor Freight, get yourself a brake press, to bend some metal, back to the Home Depot or Lowe's, get yourself some flashing like they would put around a chimney or something, and cut your pieces and put in a brake and make your little right angled things to kind of frame this out. But what we want now is when that air gets brought in, it has to go through the cooling unit coils. It can't take a shortcut, okay? Like a magnet, the air is going to be drawn in here because it's hot, and the cool air is going to be drawn in. Even if it's 116 degree temperature, it's going to be drawn in because that's closer to 400. Maybe not that hot, but I know the boiler gets that hot, so it may not be that hot, but it's definitely hotter than 116 in here. So we want that air to stay really close to these cooling units. Now, here's the big key that I've been trying to make my point on. If you open up your top vent, and at the top you see your condenser fin, you must use your flashing. This is where I use the flashing and the brake press and all. I have a video on me doing that. It was on a DRV RV, pretty high-end RV, and they did not have any kind of flashing on this at all. No baffles at all. So we're going to create a baffle to force the air through the condenser fin. Critically important. So the air is coming up, air is lazy. It wants to take a shortcut, it can't. It must, at that point, go through my condenser fin, then it can leave the vent on the RV. If your refrigerator is in a slide room, you must have fans, okay? The fans are about right in here, somewhere in that area, okay? And they're going to be blowing the air up through the condenser fin, okay? And on the top, you also have to have a baffle. I should have made this a little bit bigger because you don't want the air to get all up in here. You want this to have a little curly baffle to create this nice chimney. The goal is to get the air through the condenser fin, okay? So if you have sun cooking this side of your RV, then this whole wall here is just cooking, and you want to cool it down. So that's where that awning came in handy to keep the side of the RV cool, and we fixed our little chimney effect, and we've got our refrigerators out there that are cooking in Texas sun, 120 degrees, that are working just fine. It's all about understanding that chimney and making sure the chimney's right, okay? So, Eddie, I hope that helped, but that will help you. I could go on and on and on, but I'm going to be saving that for the videos that we're going to be coming out with, so stay tuned, and we'll be coming out with some more of those. I can't wait to get some time in the schedule to start slicing and dicing this refrigerator. I'm going to tear this thing apart. We're going to cut it open and all kinds of stuff. The ammonia is gone because it had a breach, but we're going to go pretty deep on this thing. So I hope that helps. I spent a little bit of time on this one, but I know maybe some other of you guys might have some refrigerator questions, so let's reference this. I've got several other refrigerator videos where I do a better picture here. Even that's pretty nice. But so yes, I hope that helped you.
Okay, next question.
Let me erase.
LRAD, experienced tech looking for orange bar master key. What do you have for master keys? I get locked out all the time. Okay,
where I go for master keys, RV Locks and More is the company that we are working with for that. They might need to vet you that you're legit, but all the master keys that I've got for all the locks, I'm getting from RV Locks and More. And so one of the services that we offer is a key alike system where people buy their RV and they've got the 751 key and the 001 key and all these keys to all these locks and door. We can make them all one key. In fact, I've got 5 RVs and 2 service trailers, and I've got one key that locks every single compartment on there, just one key. So RV Locks and More, I'm comfortable sharing that with them, sharing that website with you guys. That's where I go. They are the ones that give me all my master keys that I need. We've been vetted with them. We filled out the form to become a dealer and all that kind of stuff. So if you're an RV tech, it's worth doing that. And then you can offer the key-alike system as well. So there's my answer there. RV, locks, and more.
Okay. PH asked, hello, I bought a water manometer.
Manometer, yeah.
Manometer.
Manometer.
To test my propane. The thing is...
So you got a slack tube.
Manometer did not come with the hose to attach it to the tap jig. What size hose do I need to get?
3/8, I believe. I'll tell you what. Does he have one of our tap jigs?
Oh, I don't know.
It doesn't
I
say.
don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's the same size tubing as that. I could look. Okay, so it's going to be silicone. I like the silicone tubing because it'll stretch around that barb. I want to say it's either quarter inch or 3/8. But I'll tell you what, if you send us a info@myrvworks.com asking me that question, I will give you the correct answer to what size hose that is.
Why don't we do this?
Yeah.
I'll post it in the description
Okay.
when we post the video. So give us a few days, but I'll post it in the description.
Okay, yeah, because I know the answer, I just don't have it in front of me. But we do sell. So what we're discussing here is we sell a tap jig for RVs. I've got 5 different ways to tap into an LP system, and this is how you can check your LP pressure and check your LP flow. You could also do all your testings, your regulator lockup test, your operating pressure test, and your 3-minute time pressure drop test. And so with the tap jigs that we make, you can, again, myrvworks.com, you can go to our store and you'll see them there. So the information I'm going to be giving you is what size tubing I use when I make those tools. And I buy a lot of that stuff. So it's not like I buy a large roll and I cut it, is what I'm saying. So I just need to go look and see what size that is. So in the description below, look for this video here in the next couple of days or so, and you'll find the answer down below. In the description, we'll add it there. Okay?
Okay.
Let me give a shout out to Rick. So our next question comes from Rick, who is over on Patreon with us as well. And he's ordered a couple things, and I think I have an order that I have to send out for him.
Okay.
So not
Thanks,
that
Rick.
everybody can hear me, but shout out.
There's Trisha's voice. It's hanging in there.
Yeah, thanks, Rick, for buying
Yes.
our tools. We appreciate the support there.
We got a lot more tools I'm excited to make. We're going into our busy season, but we're going to keep me in the crafting table a little bit. We're going to try to get more crafting table time for Darren to make more tools. I've got so many ideas for you guys that I want to make.
Okay, so Rick's got a question.
Okay.
When
Ready.
I pull my furnace, Suburban 35Q,
Okay, yeah.
for an annual cleaning,
Yes.
can I wrap unused vent openings with an aluminum tape for better efficiency? My duct goes into the floor, so
Okay,
that the
okay,
only duct
okay.
opening, so that's the only duct opening I use.
So it didn't come with any of the flexible ducts. You just have a floor dump. Okay, so the spec on the 35Q is it must have 4 4-inch openings. So as long as you have 4 floor registers, you should be fine. And then yes, you can take your foil tape, HVAC foil tape, and tape up those little discs. They always leak. And yes, that will make it more efficient. Now, having said that, we worked on a customer, I want to say 2 weeks ago, and her furnace kept tripping the high temperature limit switch on the furnace. And it also vented into the floor. And so I took my bore scope. I mean, the furnace is fine. I pulled the furnace multiple times and there's nothing wrong with the furnace. The furnace is working fantastic. So I took my bore scope and I stuck it down inside of the floor ducts. And it turns out that they were using like this foam aluminum thing, and it was crushed underneath the floor. I don't know how to get to that. It's buried inside the RV. It was one of the first things they put in before they put the floor on. And so I'm working on the idea that the reason this high temperature switch on the furnace is tripping is because it cannot shed all that heat that it's generating. And the reason it can't shed the heat is because those ducts that run underneath the floor, using the borescope, they're not crushed, but it's kind of like cholesterol, I guess. Not all the air is being gone through. So maybe take a mirror, flashlight, whatever, and just kind of look to make sure that there's no restrictions in that floor duct underneath. And so what we're going to do with her is we are going to pop off one of those little 4-inch disc things on the side, and we're going to add 2 additional vents to help shed the heat out of that furnace. Is what we're having to do there. But so anyway, yes, if your floor is good and there's no restrictions and the furnace blows really wonderfully through those things, then by all means tape up your, I call it the carcass. You could tape up that metal box that the core is slid into, and yeah, no problem with that. Do it all the time.
Okay. Jonathan, hello.
Hi, Jonathan.
Love your content, by the way.
Thanks.
Thanks for supporting us with watching our videos and our website. I recently fried my inverter charger. I successfully replaced it myself. Yay. Congratulations.
All right.
Woohoo! My inverter has 2 breakers on it. I'm assuming that the circuits are run directly. I'm going to correct your grammar here, sorry. But I want to verify that there isn't any other devices between the inverter and circuits to the receptacle. Or receptacle.
Loaded question. So I'm assuming it's probably a larger Magnum or a Xantrex inverter, like a pretty good size one. They're the ones that have the breakers on them. Okay, I am going to say you should be fine. Overwhelmingly, when you have an inverter that has a breaker on it, that is the breaker for that circuit. That is to say, rarely, in my mind, I'm trying to think, have I ever seen this? Rarely have I seen an inverter that has a breaker on the inverter that then feeds the breaker panel that then feeds the circuit, because then there would be 2 breakers.
Yes, he said yes, Xantrex.
It's a Xantrex. Okay, cool. So in my mind, I'm trying to think, because if you're on the Xantrex, sometimes they'll run a big 10-gauge Romex wire to feed a sub panel sometimes, and that sub panel will have breakers in it as well. So if you do not have that sub panel with these additional I'm going to say inverter service circuits, okay, then I think it would be a safe bet that the breaker that's on the Xantrex is the breaker that is protecting the wire that's feeding those circuits, okay? But without seeing your RV, I mean, how would you know that? Well, you would know that if you take your breaker panel. This is up to the manufacturer how they wanted to wire it. So you'll have your main service that gets serviced from the shore power, and then sometimes, mileage may vary, they'll have another little sub panel over here that is the one that's fed from the inverter. So one of these breakers will feed the inverter. Typically it's a 30 amp breaker, 10 gauge Romex wire that goes down to the inverter, and then they might take another 10 gauge wire and then feed this breaker, and sometimes they'll put a 30 amp breaker, sometimes it'll be main lug. Sometimes the Xantrex, the Romex will leave on like a 12 gauge wire and just go to the circuit that it's protecting, and the breaker that's protecting the wire is on the Xantrex. If you've watched my video on how electricity works, I think in that video and maybe a couple others, I asked the question, what's the purpose of a breaker? What's the purpose of a fuse? And there's really only one answer: to protect the wire. So you gain nothing by having 2 breakers protecting a single wire. But maybe they did it that way. So I think you'd be okay running as long as that circuit is protected by a circuit breaker, and as long as the circuit breaker, 15 amp, 20 amp, has the correct wire gauge. If it's a 15 amp breaker, you want a 14 gauge wire. A 20 amp breaker, you want a 12 gauge wire. A 30 amp breaker, you want a 10 gauge wire. So as long as you're following all those specs, and also if you're going to have a 20 amp breaker on a 12 gauge wire, you need to make sure that the receptacle is rated for 20 amps and not 15. So it's just make sure that all your math is correct when you start playing with this electrical stuff, so that you have happy electron. I would say electron flow, but the electrons don't actually flow, they vibrate. Everybody talks about current flow, but it's not actually flowing like water. It's actually they're vibrating and bumping into each other, but at the speed of light. It's very exciting. Okay.
Okay, so he just responded saying, thanks for responding. Understanding my system makes it a lot easier
Cool.
to work on. Knowledge is power.
Yes, yay.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Xantrex manual is fantastic. Both the Xantrex and the Magnum inverter manuals are really very well written, a lot of fun to read, and just an amazing education on all things involving batteries, AC, DC, by reading those inverter manuals. I really enjoyed reading the Xantrex manual and the Magnum manual. Anyway, so don't be afraid to read those manuals. Really good stuff.
All right, Patrick, where do you get the awning for the refrigerator that you just mentioned?
Oh, perfect. If you're going to have an awning on your RV, I'm just going to say you got a Lippert Solera. I don't know, maybe you got a Dometic A&E. Whatever awning you have, Carefree of Colorado, just kind of, if it looks like it might fit, let's just say keep it simple. Should I draw this? Let's say that you have an awning on the curb side of your RV, and let's just say Carefree of Colorado. Pick one. And let's just say that it's X number of feet long, and it just turns out that if you were to take those same exact dimensions and it looks like it would fit on the other side, Bob's your uncle, you're good to go. I don't know what that expression means, but it sounds fun to say. I think they use that in England, Bob's your uncle. And so if you needed that exact same model number, then roll out your awning until you get to the roller tube. And when you get to the roller tube, typically on the upper left-hand side, you are going to see a sticker that's stuck directly on the aluminum of the roll tube itself. Now, in order to see the sticker, you got to roll the fabric all the way off of it. Take a picture of that, and then that should be all the information you need with your fabric, your length, and all this kind of stuff. You might need to measure the arm lengths for your the lengths of the arms on the RV. But that is your simple, easy, low-hanging fruit way to get a duplicate awning on both sides. But failing that, you've got all kinds of catalogs. I'm thinking we use NTP and Stag, and but they've got, just go to an RV parts, just go to an RV dealership or whatever and get a catalog. And the first section or two of those catalogs is all kinds of stuff on awnings, all kinds of stuff on the measurements, and you can you're gonna have to order the legs and then the tube, and but yeah, the easiest thing is if the measurements are the same on the curbside and it would fit on the street side, unroll it, get your sticker, and then you'd have two of the same awnings, and if a part breaks, you got duplicate parts, things like that.
Thanks for all these questions, guys. It
These are
makes
good.
it so much fun. All right, Rick's got another one.
I'll try to go quicker.
I have a 2019 Norcold N8XC
Okay, so
fridge.
it's a European style. Okay.
Thanks for that information. That always helps.
Yeah.
Works on electric and sometimes on propane.
Okay.
New fridge gas valve assembly and new propane dual tank regulator. I cleaned burner, which helped.
Okay. Cleaning the burner helped. Yeah.
Then they left us hanging.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
I think-
so is there times where gas works perfectly and there's times where gas doesn't work perfectly?
Yeah, hold on. He's on, so let's see if he.
Yeah. So if I'm going to ask a couple questions.
Okay, so he says.
I think I might know.
Continued. Hold on. I have used your tools and checked operating and lockup pressure. Lockup was between 10 and 12.5 after several tries. Operating was 7.5.
Ah. Okay. So. Okay. Wait.
And then he said yes to answer your question.
What was my question?
I don't know.
Oh, sometimes it works perfectly on gas and sometimes it doesn't.
I think that was.
That would
Sorry, I was reading other comments.
Okay.
Here, I can read it. Well, I have a 2019 Norcold N8XC fridge. Works on electric and sometimes on propane.
Aha.
New fridge gas valve assembly
Yep.
and new propane dual tank regulator.
Aha.
I cleaned the burner, which helped.
Good.
I've used your tools and checked operating and lockup pressure.
Yep.
Lockup was between 10 and 12.5 after several tries. Operating was 7.5. And he says yes to whatever question you asked.
Okay.
I now tried blowing out lines. Yes, sometimes it works great.
Okay. I would be very curious if this is a propane cylinder purge problem. I've seen this before. So you get a brand new propane cylinder, because he said he got a new regulator. Are the cylinders also new? Because if a cylinder was not purged properly, that means the only thing you ever want in that cylinder is propane. Liquid propane when you go get it filled, period. That's it. And as a propane boils, it becomes a vapor, and the only thing you want in that cylinder is propane. When propane cylinders are brand new, now sometimes they come pre-purged, but if I'm a manufacturer of a propane cylinder, I got my big old propane cylinder plant over here, and I make propane cylinders, best in the business. They've been around forever. You're gonna buy a propane cylinder from me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put dry air in that cylinder, and I'm going to ship it with dry air in it. Okay? You buy my cylinder, you're going to take it down to get filled, and there's a lot of operators out there that do not, either they don't know, they're not trained, they don't do it right, they're in a hurry, whatever. They do not purge a cylinder. So guess what? They're putting liquid propane in a cylinder that's got dry air in it. What's supposed to be in a cylinder? Propane only. But I made my propane cylinder and I filled it with dry air. Why would I do that? One, because I want to keep the inside of my cylinder totally dry. I don't want anything out, no rust or anything. But secondly, when you buy my cylinder and you take it to a person that knows what they're doing, okay? And honestly, there's a lot of propane filling stations. I've seen it. I get propane filled all the time. I have a propane cylinder that's out of date. And I know it's out of date. And I take it, the guy doesn't even look. By law, he should not fill that cylinder. So right now I'm thinking this guy is kind of like breaking the law. You know, the DOT mandates in the United States 12 years for a new cylinder and 5 years thereafter. Up in Canada, every 10 years. Every 10 years. Those cylinders need to be recertified. If that person was going to take a brand new cylinder and not purge it, I lost my train of thought because I was talking about, so you take your propane cylinder that you brought from me, and it's a brand new cylinder, and it needs to be purged. You bring it to my brother-in-law, who's a fully certified propane cylinder guy. And the first thing he's going to do is he's going to verify that there's still dry air in that cylinder. Now, what did that test do? That test proved that this brand new cylinder is gas tight. Okay, so I put dry air in it at the factory. A year later, you buy my cylinder. There should be dry air in it. That means the vessel is holding its pressure. If the vessel lost its pressure, it's not an automatic fail, but me, the filler, is going to like, this is a brand new cylinder. It should have had dry air in it. To purge a cylinder, and I'll go into a whole other thing on this. I don't want to take too much time because this topic is reserved more for people that are licensed to work with propane. But if you buy a brand new cylinder, it needs to be purged. You, with your eyes, need to watch that they're doing this. Hold on for a second. Yes?
Yeah, so Rick Larson said, matter of fact, one cylinder is 13 years old, which I just noticed, even though the camper is 4 years old.
Okay, so I can have a propane cylinder that's old, but it is not purged. So you can take a brand new cylinder, which I'm talking about, or a cylinder that I've had behind the shop somewhere. At some point in its life, it needs to be purged. Okay? So I think, so that has to do with my question on sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Let me jump to the end, and then I'll talk about purging here for a second. What I want you to do is take a known, good, properly purged cylinder and run your refrigerator on that and see if it works perfectly. And then go put it back on one of these other cylinders, and it doesn't, then the problem is the cylinder itself is not 100% pure propane. There's some element of air in there. Okay, and when you have air in that cylinder, so I'm going to not mention on this how to purge a cylinder because let me do it real quick. Because
no, you're fine. You have time.
We're good. Okay, because I'm going to say that 90% of the people watching this are not licensed to do this, so I want to be careful. But let's say,
I see what you're saying.
So I'm a surgeon. I'm going to do open heart surgery. Great, watch me perform my surgery. But don't try this at home, boys and girls. Okay. So the way you purge a cylinder, and again, you have to be licensed to do this. Okay. So I get a cylinder. This doesn't have to be a brand new cylinder. It could be a 13-year-old cylinder. It could be a cylinder I had behind the shop. We bought a house and the guy had a 100-pound cylinder, and maybe I want to use that. And so first of all, I'd go get it recertified, but then I'm going to take it to the place, and I don't know anything about that cylinder. So the first thing I'm going to have them do is purge it. So typically when you get your propane cylinders filled, you fill them with liquid propane, and sometimes they'll put them on a scale, and you're basically buying liquid propane. You're putting it in a cylinder. Propane is a vapor, it's a gas, but the reason it's a liquid is because it's compressed. Okay. But to purge a cylinder, we want to get the air out. And so we're going to take the vapor pressure. So we're going to go to our big, giant, huge cylinder place, fill-in place. And off the bottom of the tank is where we're going to get the liquid propane. But off the top of the tank has got the vapor. So we're going to, here I am, I'm going to purge your cylinder. And I'm going to take vapor pressure filling that cylinder. Okay? Then I'm going to gas that out. And I'm going to do that 5 times. And there's a ratio. It's if you go to our website, under our manuals section, and manual. Yeah, we did a video on how our manuals, stop, my brain's, I'm like grinding gears. So, myrvworks.com, go to our manuals page, service manuals, and go to the LP section. You're going to see a sheet there on how to purge a cylinder. You're not going to do it, but it's good enough to know how to do it, so when you get your cylinder purged and you say you need it purged, at least you understand what they're doing. They're supposed to put vapor in it, and if they put liquid in it, they did it wrong. Tell them to stop, take your tank, and take it someplace else. So they're going to charge you for liquid propane, and they're going to put it in an unpurged cylinder. You just wasted all that money. If they don't know what they're doing, if you ask them, hey, do you know how to purge a cylinder? Well, as a matter of fact, I do. And, well, how do you do it? Quiz them first, because there's a lot of wrong information out there. So anyway, I'm landing that plane. I'm on the tarmac. So back to this, we need to get this up to 14, okay? You blew out your lines, and so when you were writing these numbers down and you were telling me sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, my brain immediately went to a cylinder problem that the cylinder is not purged properly. It could be brand new, it could be 20 years old, it could be a cylinder used 15,000 times. Let's start with a known good cylinder that we know is purged properly, that the only thing on that cylinder is propane, and if it works fine, then switch it over to the other one. Because if you've got a cylinder that's got some unknown quantity of something besides propane, you're going to get this strange, weird stuff. You'll never be able to get it dialed in.
Rick responded to is saying, usually the problem happens while driving with the propane on.
Driving with the propane on. See, that's a gas-tight system. That shouldn't matter. Follow up with us. I'd like to know if what the results are if you do a known good cylinder.
He might be over on the Patreon side for our next live stream, so maybe we can follow up there. Why don't we?
Okay, we're gonna keep moving, but yeah, I'm thinking that you put a new regulator on and you still can't get it on there. That tells me you got a gas problem, because all this is before the gas valve, and you've said you've cleaned the gas valve, but these problems are before the gas valve. So now we're dealing with the propane side of the house. Okay, we're gonna jump into some other questions.
Okay, but Rick, if you're gonna be on Patreon, we can follow up there and go a little more in depth.
Okay.
Before we jump into the next question, do you want to just give a little plug about our cards again?
RV Tech cards?
Yeah, just give a little plug because we might have people on that weren't on before.
Oh, do you find yourself losing sleep at night? My RV Tech cards will put you to sleep in no time.
Oh, when you're in the field and you need a number.
Yes. So I'll approach these RV Tech cards from a different direction. So we talked about these at the opening part of the video, but I am making so what do I have here? These things are called RV Tech cards. Can they see that?
Yes.
Okay, they're RV Tech cards. What is an RV Tech card? They're like Pokemon cards, only different, or like baseball cards for my generation. Information. So as an RV technician, I've got all this information that I need to know in my head. What are we doing? You trying to get by?
Can you hand me a tissue?
Yes.
Goodness gracious.
Okay, there we go. I'm here walking really slow, trying to stealthily. There's no way you could have reached that.
Also, I wanted to get a little thing, that a carabiner or whatever the thing is.
Oh, they come with a carabiner and a little thingy. Information. Okay, I make these and I clip them to my tool bag. Okay, I've got some early prototypes that are ugly, and we finally figured out the good formatting and making them print both-sided. We got the right size paper, the right kind of printing. It's taken us a while to get these dialed in really well. And so now that we've gone through, I don't know how many things of ink and paper and everything, we finally got these right. Now, I am making, do you have that sheet that I made? I've probably got over 100 designs that I'm playing around with here. But for the RV technician, it's going to be handy because you're going to have that code from what that Dometic thermostat E5 is. It'll be on the card. You're going to have that, we were talking about refrigerators earlier, you're going to have the thermistor values based off of temperature. You're going to have the ohms value on heating elements. For propane, we'll do the proper procedure to purge on a card. So you get the idea. So I'm taking these things and I'm putting them on little cards, we're laminating them, and the eventual goal, if these work, then we're going to get that big fancy $2,000 printer, and it'll print it out like a hardcore like label thing. So that's what's going on with these. Now this particular one, the first one that we have right now, we do sell a tool for folks that are working on aqua hots. And so I kind of made these cards to be an add-on to that tool. It's our AquaHot remote switch, and you can see that if you go to our website, marvworks.com, and go to our store, then you'll see the AquaHot box. And then these are going to be something that's going to go with that. And so if you're working on an AquaHot and you buy our AquaHot switch box, then a lot of times I have developed over the years of working on AquaHot a test procedure where I wanted to find out if that diesel control burner is a go or no go. Okay, and so I wrote up a little ditty here. It's front and back. One of them has part numbers on here, common part numbers that you might need for AquaHots. I got the old part number and the new part number, so you don't have to look it up. It's right there on the card. And then I have a QR code that you can scan to get directly to the tool that we make that works with this. And then I've got the B and C plug on the, am I in the shot? Yeah. Okay, I've got the B and C plug here, and how to do your testing. And I've got 7 tests that you perform on these things, that front and back. Okay, so by the time you're done with this test, and I go through all 7 of the tests, you will fully understand if that diesel control module is working or it's not working. And those things are $700, $800, $900, so you better make sure you diagnosed it correctly. And so this is what I came up with to diagnose that. And so using these, I'm batting 1,000, so I'm pretty excited about that. Before it was a card, it was a sheet of paper that I laminated, and I made it smaller, clip it onto my tool bag. And so we're going to be coming out with more of these. Just keep checking back. Some of them will be a single card, you know, and some of them will be groups like this. And so that's what's going on with these. We're really excited about it. It's just one of our newest things.
They can just click on the link and just post it. They can.
Okay, and click on the link. So all I have right now for you guys is the AquaHot diagnostic procedure for the control burner. I've got several more that I'm going to be doing for the AquaHots. I've got some I'm going to do for the ITR Oasis Hurricanes. For Suburbans, I'm going to have some procedures on Suburbans. One of my visions is to make these that are part number specific. So if you have a Suburban SF35Q, well, then you're going to buy that card, and it'll have specific information just for that furnace. And so my goal for these is, as you go through your RV and you find out what parts, what equipment you have, I'm trying to make a card for that, so you could just buy that card and then, you know, hook it on a keychain somewhere, and if something is wrong with it, up to and including, if you go to our website, we have on our resources tab annual service worksheets, and right now I've got 3 that I've made for you guys, and so I'm working on more on those as well, but I'm trying to get those annual service worksheets down to this form factor here, so you could just flip through it that way too. And so you could just kind of hook it on a little peg hook on your RV, and when it comes time to service something, you just pull it out, and you'd pull out the one specific to your model number. So that's what's going on here. Really excited about making these for you guys, and so keep checking back. Like I said, all I've got right now is one for the AquaHot, but we're working on more. It did take us some time to get the form factor fixed, and the paper and the ink and all this kind of stuff.
All right, Raymond, RV refrigerator cooling performance issues, installing a baffle.
That was a video that you did.
Okay, yes.
And he posted a comment on this video.
Okay.
So on a normal wall, such as the back of the camper, does it require fans?
If it's
I'm not seeing any on mine. I just see the roof vent.
Okay.
Coil inside my fridge slightly freezes. It's the refrigerator doesn't seem to get cold. Drain is clear.
Okay. Earlier I did a whole little drawing on a refrigerator in a slide room, and refrigerators in slide rooms, fans are required. Refrigerators that are not in slide rooms, fans are not required, but I would recommend them. Okay. Oftentimes when I am brought in to diagnose cooling unit performance issues, the very first thing I'm going to look for, and I would even look for on yours, is proper chimney. Okay, if you be the air, it's like the movie Ants, be the ball, okay? If you be the air, the baffling needs to go through that top condenser fin. I was going to draw a refrigerator here. It needs to go through that top condenser fin. So if there's any way that air can go around it, so let me do, I'm trying to visualize how to draw this. So here is my condenser fin. It's the thing that's got all the fins, and it's way up top. It's a long rectangular thing all the way at the top. So let's see if I can get some 3D motion here. So here's my condenser fin, and then here's my refrigerator. I lost it there. So if I'm air's going to be blue. It's all about getting air across that condenser fin. That's really the whole game, okay? You can put fans all over the place, but if they're not blowing the air through that condenser fin, you're doing a disservice. I mean, in other words, if you're going to put a fan anywhere, it's not about just moving air through the back. It's all about moving air through that condenser fin. That's the point I'm really trying to stress on all my stories of these refrigerators. It's funny because I did a video on an air conditioner. I called it refrigerator. I did a video on a refrigerator called an air conditioner. So I don't know what's wrong with me. So if I'm air and here's my opening, and then here's my opening up on the top, okay, and I'm air and I can go around that, and I did not go through my condenser fin. The whole point of this whole chimney effect is to get the air through the condenser fin. It's in every single installation manual of every single absorption refrigerator manufacturer. So where do I get this information from? From the manufacturer that made the refrigerator, not the manufacturer that built the RV, right? So what we want to do is so for you, I'm not opposed to putting fans in, and there's actually fan kits that you can get. On our Amazon affiliate link, I think I've got links for the fan kit. And again, myReverworks.com, you can go to the store, we got an Amazon affiliate link. Thanks for all the love. If you're going to buy something, buy it, and we get our 2 to 3%. Yay! But so what you want to do is you want to put a baffle there, forcing this air, and then you can put a fan here. Let's see if I can do a fan. Oh, look at me go. Okay, it's going so fast, it's a blur. So the air, and then I'm going to baffle it there. Okay, all this is baffled. So my air is coming in, I'm going through the fan, and I'm going right through the condenser fin, out through the top. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to block off the top of the refrigerator. I did another video. I've done several videos on these baffles. One of them was in a Class C, and we used little sheets of Luan, and we slid the pieces down through the top vent. So I don't know if you were watching that one. That guy didn't have anything wrong with his air conditioner. He had nothing wrong with his refrigerator. He had the RV for a couple of years. Never had a problem with it at all. And so we were doing something. I think we were replacing that vent because it was brittle. And I looked inside and I saw this big wide opening on top of his refrigerator. No. Wrong. But see, he was never having a problem with his refrigerator, but he's always been up here in the Northwest, so it doesn't get really hot. And so I put those baffles on, and we got a report like, my God, his refrigerator works better than it's ever worked, ever. So it's all about that chimney effect. Now, I think I heard him say that his fins were freezing. Was his fins freezing? I got him off guard. Yeah.
Coil inside my fridge slightly freezes.
Slightly freezes?
The refrigerator doesn't seem to get cold.
Okay.
That's probably supposed to be bad. The refrigerator.
Okay. Another question I would have is if the freezer compartment is freezing really well, but the fresh food compartment is not getting as cold as it should be. Again, we're going to be looking at this ventilation up the back side. Every time I've ever get called in on a refrigerator job, I really want to make sure that it's done properly. And like I made reference earlier, a brand new RV, they just bought it on a Friday, they plug themselves in, and we get called on a Saturday because the refrigerator's not getting cold after it ran a day. And I peek inside, and there was all this space going up the back wall, not even going through this condenser fan. And so just up the road was a Home Depot, so we went to Home Depot and got some of those sheets of that. It's that styrofoam stuff that's like a 4x8 sheet of styrofoam. It's got like this clear film on one side, the other side's got this reflective film. That's typically what I use. I put the reflective film towards the coils. And they got a thick one and a thin one. And you just get your measurement cut, and then you rip it long ways, and it'll slide inside this vent right here or down from the top. And but then you can do a fan. Now, if you're your coils are freezing on the inside, you could do the dollar bill trick to make sure your seals are sealing all the way. The bottom line there is it's simple physical science. Humidity is getting inside of your refrigerator. It could come from several places. One, your door shield's not closing all the way. The dollar bill trick works. You can kind of put a dollar bill or a piece of paper, if you got a 20 or maybe 100, I don't know, and just try to pull it and see if it'll slide through those seals. They're magnetic. They're supposed to close. Sometimes they need a nice good cleaning if they're all crusty or something. Your air's getting in there. The drain hose, you said your drain hose was clear. A lot of times I like to put a little bit of a P-trap or a low spot in that drain, because if I'm outside and your drain hose comes straight down and I blow into that thing, then I'm letting moist air right inside of your food compartment, aren't I? So if you put a little bit of a low spot, like a P-trap in that drain valve, then all the drippings from your cooling fins in your food compartment will drip, and then they'll get that low spot like a toilet, and it'll keep this humid air from getting inside of your refrigerator. Sometimes you could take a bright flashlight and put it in your refrigerator and kind of close the door and turn off all the lights and just look to see if there's any light breaches in there. Another thing is, if you're putting any food in your refrigerator, like you just made some rice and it's cooled down, you put it in there, that rice might put out some humidity, or the moisture in the food might go out, and any moisture vapor that touches something cold like that will freeze up. These are some tips and tricks. Another thing you could do in your fresh food compartment, those are wire racks for a reason. You want convection currents inside of your refrigerator. They do have these little battery powered fans that go down the bottom. And so you don't want to fill your refrigerator all the way full. You want there to be convective air currents that work their way through the metal shelves, the little wire racks all the way up, and circulate through the food compartment when it's closed. Also, you want to...
We're running out of time.
Oh, are we? Okay, I'll finish up with this. I will be coming out with a lot more refrigerator videos. I've got a lot of information on refrigerators, and I finally have one that I can play with. So be on the lookout for some more refrigerator videos, and everything I was going to say and keep going, I'll actually do live demos with the real live refrigerator sitting there before us.
Okay, we're going to do a couple of just really quick
Okay.
questions, 2 minutes, and then we're going to hop over to Patreon.
Okay, so what Trisha's saying is we're going to do like a rapid fire. I'm in the hot seat, and then we're going to stop our YouTube side and we'll jump over to Patreon. So on our Patreon side, any person that pledges us at any level will carry on this conversation over there for an additional hour. So another benefit that we're offering to our patrons. So, hit me.
So,
Yes.
Jonathan.
No. I don't know.
Says
5. Okay, I'm going to stop.
My built-in 30-gallon cylinder is probably out of date, 30 years old. How do I get this inspected?
Okay, how do you get a cylinder inspected? You are going to call around to, your first phone call is going to be to a company that provides propane and ask them if either they do it or they know a company that will do it. It's usually around $15. That's what my experience has been, but your mileage may vary. So basically you're going to bring that cylinder to that facility. They'll probably have it for a day or so. They're going to take the service valve out, make sure all the parts are right. If your cylinder is 30 years old, you probably have a tri-lobed, 3-lobed, no, it's not, it's tri-lobed. The new ones are tri-lobed. But there's about 7 different safety features built into that service valve. So if yours is 30 years old, it's probably only got like 5 of the 7, or maybe even 3 of the 7 safety features built into it. And so it is good to keep those serviced. So yeah, call a propane provider in your area that like fills up propane places, and not necessarily the place that fills it, because they may not know, but a place that actually drives the trucks, and they would either do it or they would know somebody that does it. So there's that one.
Okay, so Cameron and Frisco, we don't have time to get to your questions, but I know at least Cameron says he's on Patreon.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can hear me, but you can,
Yeah.
or she, no, it's probably. So anyways, you can hop on over to Patreon. There's a link in the latest post that links to the YouTube, or that links to the live stream.
Okay.
There's a live stream link. So when you go onto your Patreon, just look at the most recent post and click on the live stream.
Did y'all hear that, or you want me to repeat?
You should repeat that.
I should or shouldn't?
You should.
Okay. So if you're pledging us on Patreon, go to our Patreon page and look at the news feed. Is that what that's called?
They just sign into your Patreon.
Sign into your Patreon, look at the thing, and there will be a link right there waiting for you to click on to join us over on we're going to be back on YouTube again, but it's a private link. It's not one that's public, and that'll get you access. As soon as we're done here, I might go potty, and then I'll sit right back here, and we'll go another round. And so that's how you can join us on Patreon. So if you're pledging us on Patreon, when we're done here, jump over on Patreon. You'll see the link. Click on that. It's a private link, and we'll go back right here on YouTube again.
And I'll go ahead and, when we hop over there, I'll go ahead and ask these questions regardless.
Okay.
And then the video will be posted. So when you log into your Patreon, even if you don't have time tonight to be on there, you can log in and see the video and watch your question being answered.
Okay, and I'll just repeat because she's losing her voice a little bit. So if you posted a question for us here, and you don't have time to go the round 2 for us, the bonus round, then we'll still answer your question, and then we'll post that video on Patreon. So even if you can't stick around for the answer, you can post a question. I'll do my best to answer the question, and then when it's convenient for you, you can watch the video on the link on Patreon. But it'll always be a private link. We're not going to put it on the public YouTube side.
Okay, and then that's it.
Yay. Okay. That wasn't too grueling. Okay, so I hope my diagrams weren't too laborious and detailed. Well, I want to thank you. We got the team back here. We got Ann, Tricia, and myself, and Louie the cat up in the window. And we'll see you next. Now, first of all, I want to say thank you because this was supposed to be the first Friday of the month, and it's the second Friday of the month. So for all of you mothers out there, I want to wish you a happy Mother's Day, which is on Sunday, which is in 2 days. What am I going to do for Ann? I don't know. Well, you're not my mother. You're my kids' mothers. Anyway, I'm being silly. So thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us, and I look forward to visiting with you again on our next live stream. Or if you're on Patreon, you can jump over there where we go another round. We also do on our different Patreon tiers. Check it out because there's one starting at the $15 tier. We've got a whole course that Tricia and I are putting together on how to build, start, maintain your own mobile RV service business. And I think we're getting some good response back from that. We've recorded 15 sessions so far, but some of those sessions are part 1, part 2, so it's probably closer to 17 or 20 sessions. And we've got plans to go into the 50s on those. And we get new ideas that we just want to roll back into that to make that course really rock and roll. So that starts at the $15 tier. And then the $25 tier, they get a Zoom meeting once a month with Tricia and myself, and where we go even deeper. And we're just throwing the doors open of our business and let you walk around and ask us questions. So that's what we have going over on Patreon. We're really trying to add value to that for you guys that support us. That's what we're doing back for you guys. So thank you for joining us on YouTube, and we look forward to seeing you next month. And happy campers, say merry every work. So this is Darren, Ann, and Tricia.
Almost signing off, but not quite.
Almost signing off, but not quite. Why are we not quite?
Okay, so...
Oh, wait.
I do have to take a couple of comments. So Jonathan's super nice. He says, how do I make a donation to you for the much appreciated information you've provided? So,
how do you make a donation?
I mean, you don't have to make a donation, but you can, there's a little money thing on here, I think. Where does it say it? Maybe I didn't add it. Oh yeah, see that little money sign in the comments? There's a little emoji thing and then a little money thing and then a plus. You can hit the money thing and you can donate that way.
Thank you.
Or you can support us over on Patreon.
Yeah, thanks for that. It's never expected, but it's kind of nice. I get to take them out to dinner. Something like that. Got to keep my crew happy. It's just the 3 of us running the whole show. And then Trisha's husband does all the YouTube editing videos. So
yeah, well, I hear you.
He does good there.
All right, that's it.
All right. Thank you, guys. I'm gonna take a real quick break, and you'll join us back over on the Patreon side. Give me maybe 5-10 minutes, and then we'll be right back here. So,
anybody who did not get their question answered, there's a few of you. We're gonna answer that over on the Patreon side. So, I mean, I don't know how valuable the question is or how valuable our answer will be, but you could literally subscribe for $5.
Get your answer answered for $5. Yeah.
So, anyways.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Now I have to figure